So there are a number of lifestyle changes that you will find, and but what I think is helpful that patients have told me is that they experience, fear of cancer recurrence. They might be anxious or depressed. There are oftentimes patients feel that they're discontent with the appearance of their body. They also don't like that, at least at the beginning, there is limited mobility, and they don't feel that they tire more frequently. They cannot walk as fast anymore. Maybe they are worried that people will notice that their body has changed, and that people might detect that they're wearing something. These are all valid concerns, and the best way of doing this is that dealing with them and talking with other people about it. And during those initial weeks, caregivers are really, really important. And the caregivers are a great help to the patients. They take lots of new responsibilities, and they also might have their own challenges to deal with. So most commonly what caregivers are doing is that they're managing their loved ones' medications. They're driving them to doctor's appointments. They organize the urinary diversion supplies. They deal with the insurance companies, which can be, a rabbit hole that you might fall into. And they're the eyes and ears of the medical team. Medical doctors, the healthcare providers really oftentimes rely on the reports of the caregivers. And caregivers also report or document the symptoms or changes in how the patients are doing. And they're doing all of these things while they're dealing with their own responsibilities. They might have families. They might have jobs. So we will talk about this a little bit later. So initially, when you go through major surgery, you might lose you might lose some weight. You feel that you don't have enough appetite. You might experience some changes in taste and whether you've eaten enough. Things might not really work as well for you anymore as they were before. But what is really important is that you have a healthy, well-balanced diet that will help. So that means that right from the hospital, when you're being discharged, you start out with some soft foods and liquids. And as we said, water is very important. And you might the patient might feel much better when you eat smaller meals and more frequently rather than 3 large ones. So if you're used to have a large breakfast, lunch, and dinner, so then maybe you will feel better if you have smaller and more frequent kinds of meals. There are a number of digestive issues that are common. So there's bloating, there could be constipation, there's diarrhea, and there could be nausea. So some of this could be the after effects from right after surgery, and those will change, and you will recover after that's over after some time. But there are also foods that you might want to avoid. And those foods are, limit spicy and greasy food, and high fiber foods. They prevent bloating. Limit liquids during mealtime, as they can stretch your stomach and they might make you feel full, and then you don't eat enough because you need to have enough protein and calories to maintain your weight. But again, there is this risk of dehydration and urinary tract infections. So again, drink plenty of water. Don't drink sugary drinks. But tea is, for example, is very nice, and preferably tea that is decaffeinated, or herbal tea, mint tea, chamomile, and things like that. They really help, and with diarrhea, constipation, and some of those issues that we've talked about before. A big issue is that patients often ask is bathing and hygiene. So you will receive instructions when you come out from the hospital, what you will do with all of those tubes and drains and incisions, and you will need, most of the time, you will need help with bathing and showering. What you can do in preparation, for example, is, if you don't have it already, install a shower bar. Install a shower bar either in the shower or when you get into the bathtub. Try to find a chair or a stool made out of wood that can get wet, that doesn't rust, that you can place into the shower. Showers are recommended anyways, because it's very hard to get into a bathtub in and out, and you shouldn't take a bath or so for at least the first months. So even though it can be very comforting to soak in a bath, it's not good for you at that time. So showers are fine, and this shower bar is really helpful for if you're showering. If you have a pouching system, you can shower just as you have always have. There are some types of bags, and you will figure this all out. They are covered with some fabric, because it's nicer to have them on the skin. They might absorb small amounts of water. That's not a problem, but you can also cover them with some saran wrap or something like that. And then once you're done with that, you should just change your bag, and then you're totally done for the day. You can shower if you have an Indiana pouch. You can shower after all of the drains are removed, but again, don't soak until the incision is healed, and you can cover up your stoma with some covering, and then you can just take a shower just as you usually do. Getting dressed, well, it's, as I said, a lot of people feel self-conscious about one's appearance, and body image problems are quite common. Well, you know, we can accommodate this by just wearing more loose-fitting clothes with made out of a breathable fabric. At the beginning, I would avoid wearing belts or tight clothing. And after you're fully healed, dress whatever is comfortable. Some of the tips that our patients have given us is that dark colors may conceal better than lighter colors. Patterns will draw attention away from solid cultures, especially from some bulges that you might have when you have a bag hanging on the side. You know, wear loose t-shirts or comfortable pants. You can wear light jackets or sweatshirts. Pleated trousers also help for men. Same for women. So you will be able to figure this out, and you can make these changes fairly easily, I would say, and some experimenting will be necessary. So sleeping is another issue that a lot of patients talk about and are worried about. And especially when you come home at the beginning, it can be quite uncomfortable. You know, after 14 days in the hospital, you had a hospital bed. or 10 days you had a hospital bed that was adjustable and all of these things, and now you come home and you are happy that you're home, but and you're sleeping in your own bed, but then you don't feel quite as comfortable all of a sudden anymore, because you still deal with this with soreness. You have these tubes and drains coming out. So there's a lot of things that are that might interfere with sleeping. So lots of pillows help. You can even place a pillow over your stomach to feel comfortable. You might also use a heating pad, especially in the winter. Heating helps a little bit with pain, and that might make you feel more comfortable. If you have a urostomy bag, empty it right before you go to sleep. And then there are even some night pouch systems that have longer tubes and that they're bigger bags, and you place the bag on the floor next to your bed, and the tubes are long enough that they don't dislodge when you're sleeping. If you have an Indiana pouch, you might still have to empty it every 3 to 4 hours. So that can lead to disrupted sleep, especially at the beginning. Once it has its regular size and you can go for 6 hours or so, that might your sleep quality might improve. And with the Neo Bladder, it's the same thing. Every 3 to 4 hours. And again, those plasticized or rubberized sheets are really, really helpful here. Pain management. I know that a lot of patients are really worried about pain. That you are in pain after bladder cancer surgery is very, very common. That doesn't help you when you're in pain, right? But there's pain medication, and so you don't need to suffer from pain. But then there is also the worry that if you use opioids, and they are much more restricted now in taking them out, is that people have some worries about getting addicted from them. So just use them when it is really, really, really uncomfortable. Monitor your pain and your feelings. Communicate them with your caregiver. Communicate them with your medical team. Also, write down in a diary. Write down on a scale from 0 to 10, with 10 being the worst pain imaginable. Write down what your pain is, and it's very helpful for you to also notice that your pain will become less over time. If you're worried about addiction to painkillers, definitely talk to your doctor, and especially talk to them if you feel like you want to take the medicine because it makes you feel better, or when you feel like when your caregiver thinks that you're losing control over usage, and when you want to take the medicine even weeks after, when the pain should be gone. So here again, the caregiver has a very important job to do to monitor your medication intake as a patient. I think I hope it's common knowledge that you shouldn't drink alcohol when you're on opioids, or that you shouldn't combine opioids with sleeping pills, antidepressants, or antihistamines. They can really mess you up, and that's not a good thing. Also, if you've been on opioids for quite some time, talk to your doctor how to slowly get you off it. Just stopping it from one time to another is also not very good. So the common example is that once you're at home or so, try and to facilitate your well-being and your mental and your physical well-being. Try to stay active. try to exercise. Even if it is really, really hard, and even if it is uncomfortable at the beginning, I urge everybody to start to walk as soon as possible. Start out slow. There's no rush. Nobody expects that you run a marathon, but try to be active. And once you're fully recovered, you will be able to do most or almost any of those physical activities that you have been used to. And you will feel better. You will experience increased energy. It will prevent infection. You will be stronger, and overall, you will recover faster. Start with some slow walks, maybe with your caregiver or with a neighbor or a friend. And what is also fun is write it down and say, today I walked to the mailbox back and forth, and tomorrow I walked to the mailbox twice, or something like that. So that is really really helpful, and it documents your process and your recovery. You shouldn't lift anything. I mean, so you're happy to see your grandchild, and the grandchild wants to jump up on you. That's not such a good idea right now. Just wait a little bit, and you will feel when you get better pretty soon. But that also means, shopping bags and things like that is not the best idea to really engage in that. And if you are a swimmer, you will be able to swim again. Even though you have a bag, or you can wear as a female, it might be a little bit easier to conceal it if you have a one-piece bathing suit, but men also can wear one of those t-shirts, those swimming t-shirts, and that should be fine. Swimming will not harm the stoma, and there are waterproof stoma coverings available that will keep everything inside. Nothing goes outside that shouldn't go outside, and nothing comes in that shouldn't come in. So I think that works pretty well. And if you are not a swimmer, then you might do something else. Not everybody has the opportunity to swim, but swimming is a great exercise. A lot of patients are worried about traveling. And what can you, and especially in this day and age with air travel, and then you have to wait to enter security checks and things like that. There are cards or letters about your medical condition available, so that you don't have problems with that you can tell them at the security check. Create a checklist of what you need while you are away. Always pack at least twice the amount of supplies. If you are traveling within the United States, it's much easier to get the supplies that you needed. You can even send them to your destination via UPS or FedEx. If you travel transatlantic, that might be a little bit more difficult. Not that you can't get the same supplies if you need it, but they might not necessarily fit, or they might not have necessarily the stuff that you really are comfortable using. So it's much better to bring everything that you know that you will need, and put it in a carry-on. And check with the airline to see what you can bring and what you cannot bring. Here are a couple of tips that, again, we have collected from patients who have done this many times successfully. If you are on the road and you plan a road trip, and many people prefer road trips because they feel like then they can take rests, they can use the bathroom much more frequently, and since they have more luggage, that might be easier for them to do. So one of the things that people are doing is that they pack an emergency kit of supplies, which is much easier to do. They also pack extra, one of our patients says he always has an extra travel bag that he has in his car. He doesn't even take it out. And this travel bag contains what he needs medically. So he has one of everything to change. He also has a change of clothes, and he has a change of underwear and things like that. And it just stays in the car. And then you don't even need to worry about it. And I think that was really such a wonderful idea. You might also consider for your back, because it's more it's more comfortable to use it, is if you're using a leg bag rather than a bag that is closer to your abdomen, because that might interfere with your seat belt, and you want to be safe, of course. So let's talk a little bit about emotional health. I talked about it a little bit earlier, but it's for a lot of people it takes a while to adjust to this new normal. Life as you've known it is different, and you have to you might get frustrated, you might get sad, depressed about the things that you're now experiencing. And you might be frustrated, for example, that you don't recover as fast as you think that you might do, or you might be very worried about that that the cancer might come back. So there is a lot going on. And as I said before, when there's a lot going on, the best thing to do is to communicate it. Talk to your family, talk to your medical team. If you don't want to talk to your family, maybe you have a friend who you can talk to, and that's fine too. There is no one person who is what I wanted to say is, regardless of who that person is, you will probably have one person who you might be able to talk to, and that person and talking about it is really helpful. There are a number of coping strategies that our patients have been using. One of it is patience. I'm not a very patient person. I'm always getting frustrated if things are taking too long, but remind yourself that recovery takes time. And I find it particularly difficult when you're sort of in those middle stages of a recovery, where you're saying, oh, I feel much better right now, and then all of a sudden you are not, and then that's when you get frustrated or sad about it. So be patient. Join a support group. I think BCAN that you're here shows that you're interested in it. There are support groups around. Ask your hospital, ask your medical provider, the social workers there. This really helps. I also suggest that people are talking to other people right at the beginning, before they have problems, to anticipate the problems. I mean, you're listening to me right now, talking about these different kinds of things. I don't know, some people might be newly diagnosed, others might be pros in it, but whatever it is, it is important to get as much information and to have the opportunity to exchange. Ask for help when needed. Try something new if you want, and again, keep active, just as we said before. Eating well and get plenty of rest. We talked about that too, and just take breaks, which is, again, it's a normal thing to do. You just had major surgery, so it will take time. Intimacy is another issue that is coming up. Your partner might have different kinds of feelings right now, and about being together. And one of the things, and it's actually on my next slide, but I want to tell you right now, is that you don't have to have sex to feel intimate. It is, again, open and honest communication is key, and If you're interested in having sex, that's great. If your partner is interested in having sex, that's wonderful too. And you know, it takes usually 2 weeks or so after surgery to do this. And feeling anxious and self-conscious about changes in your body is, especially if if you can't cover it up, it certainly is quite common. Talk to your partner about your physical limitations. Talk about what you expect, your pain, and so on. Talk about it, about your emotions, and that will create feelings of intimacy. You can cover things up while you are having sex, for example. Of course, try to empty your bag beforehand. If you want to again connect with others, ask your care team, your doctors and your nurses, the social workers who have lots of experiences, and they have heard everything. So there is nothing new to them. And you know, keep an open mind to know what you feel is what you would like to need, or what you like to receive and what you like to give. There are many different ways that you can feel intimate with your partner. Dating is another issue that can be quite difficult. You know, if you're single, you may be afraid of rejection because you have because of your history of cancer. There is the questions: when do you introduce this to somebody who you've just met? Some of them, some people might just take this dating out of the equation totally. I think it's a process. There is no right or wrong way. But again, talking to others who have been in this situation might be very helpful to see what their experiences were. And you can, if you're single, you can build a network of close friends, casual friends, and family. There might be more effort from your side by calling friends and planning visits. You know, there are hobbies that you might be able to engage in. There are church communities. There are other groups or classes that you might take to meet others. So there are a number of things. You are not a pariah, and you are not any different than anybody else who is single. Let's talk a little bit about finances, because cancer is very expensive and it might bring unexpected costs. You know, there are co-payments, there are medications, there are supplies, for example, that seem to be very expensive. You have to talk to you, and this is really painful. You have to talk to your insurance to ask what is allowed and what your deductibles are. Try to be as much as an informed consumer as you can. Be organized about it. Either keep a folder or an Excel spreadsheet to keep track of the things that are necessary, from co-payments to authorizations to contact information, all of this kind of things. Your caregiver can help you too with these kinds of things. And the good thing is that many manufacturers who are providing supplies are letting you use or provide samples for free, which you can then try out a number of times and then stick with the one that is most comfortable for you.